William Henry Gates III, better known as Bill Gates, is an American entrepreneur and public figure, philanthropist, one of the founders, together with Paul Allen, and the former largest shareholder of Microsoft. Until June 2008, he was the head of the company. After leaving office, he remained as its non-executive chairman of the board of directors. He is also co-chairman of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, member of the board of directors of Berkshire Hathaway, CEO of Cascade Investment. In the period from 1996 to 2007, from 2009 to 2016, the richest man on the planet, according to Forbes magazine. Bill Gates is one of the world's biggest philanthropists, donating more than $28 billion to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation between 1994 and 2010. In 2010, Gates signed the Giving Pledge and made a proposal to all billionaires to donate half of their fortunes to charity. Gates was born in Seattle, Washington, the son of corporate attorney William Henry Gates II and board member of First Interstate Bank, Pacific Northwest Bell, and USWist, United Way National Counsel Mary Maxwell Gates. His great-grandfather was a mayor and senator, and his grandfather was a vice president of the National Bank. In the family, Bill's nickname is Trey. The word Trey means 3 in card games and is associated with a numbered prefix to the name. Gates has 2 sisters. The eldest is Christy, and the youngest is Libby. Gates attended Seattle's most privileged school, Lakeside, where he developed his programming skills on the school's mini-computer. At the age of 13, Bill wrote his first program, a game of tic-tac-toe in the basic programming language. In the 8th grade, in a programming class, he met 10th grader Paul Allen. With his friends, Gates was testing a PDP-10 computer from Digital Equipment Corporation, owned by Computer Center Corporation, CCC. When the time allotted for Bill and his friend Paul to work in the CCC expired, they hacked into the program. For computer hacking, for students of the school Rick Wayland, Kent Evans, Paul Allen and Bill Gates were banned from working on computers throughout the summer. The initiator of the punishment was the Computer Center Corporation, whose computer was hacked by the students. At the end of the punishment, the students offered the company to find bugs in their software for the opportunity to work on the company's computers. The company agreed, and Gates and his comrades studied many software sources written in languages such as Fortran, Lisp, and machine code. This cooperation continued until 1970, until the company went bankrupt. The following year, Information Sciences Incorporated hired 4 students, including Bill and Paul, to write a payroll program. The program was needed in the COBOL language. In return, the guys received free working time on the PDP-10. They called their company Lakeside Programming Group, but they could not complete the work. At school, Gates did not excel in grammar, civics, and other subjects he considered trivial, but received top marks in math. By the end of elementary school, Gates' bad behavior began to worry his parents and teachers so much that he was referred to a psychiatrist. "I was a computer nut. I skipped gym. I sat in the computer lab until night. I programmed on the weekends. Every week we spent 20 to 30 hours there. There was a period when we were forbidden to work because Paul Allen and I stole passwords and hacked into the system. I was left without a computer for the whole summer. Then I was 15 or 16 years old," recalled Malcolm Gladwell. At 17, Gates, Paul Allen, and Paul Gilbert founded Trafodata. The name was coined by Gates from the jack-o'-lantern, pumpkin lantern. The company's goal was to create meters to read traffic and generate reports for road engineers. The Trafodata device was sold from 1972 to 1982. On this project, Gates and Allen earned $20,000. On Christmas Day, December 25, 1972, Bud Pembroke, who had invited Bill and Paul to work for Information Service Incorporated, invited them to work for TRW. A large software project was underway for the Bonneville Energy Authority using the PDP-10. Founding of Microsoft. In 1973, Bill Gates entered Harvard University, where he met his future partner, Steve Ballmer. After 2 years, Gates was expelled and immediately began to create software. Subsequently, from June 7, 2007, Bill Gates will be considered a graduate of Harvard. The university administration will decide to award him a diploma. In the same month, he will be awarded an honorary doctorate there. In January 1975, Paul Allen read an article in Popular Electronics magazine about the new Altair 8800 personal computer. After reading the article, Gates contacted Microinstrumentation and Telemetry Systems, MITS, President Ed Roberts and informed him that he and his friend are working on the software for this computer, although in fact Gates and Allen had nothing to do with the Altair 8800, but they emulated that processor. The president of MITS invited Paul into his office, and he demonstrated a working BASIC interpreter for their computer. And a few weeks later Paul and Bill were working at MITS. They thought of calling their company Allen and Gates, but they considered it more suitable for a law office, and then Paul suggested Microsoft, for microprocessors and software. In the credits of the BASIC language interpreter, created by them on the order of MITS, the friends included the following line: Microsoft BASIC. Paul Allen wrote the supporting codes. Bill Gates wrote the executable codes. Monty Davidoff wrote a mathematical library. In 1975, Bill was arrested for the first time for speeding and driving without a driver's license in Albuquerque, New Mexico. After that, he began to swear with a policeman and he was put in a bad cell where there were drunkards and it was not removed. Bill made the required one call to Paul Allen, who raised the last of his money to get Bill out. Microsoft was created specifically to develop programs for MITS in Albuquerque. Within a year of working for MITS, the hyphen in Gates and Allen's company name disappeared, and on November 26, 1976, a new trademark, Microsoft, was registered with the New Mexico District Office. Paul got 36% of the company, Bill 64%, basically how Bill saw the contribution to the product. Since 1975, MITS has been distributing Microsoft's implementation of the Altair BASIC programming language for the Altair 8800 computer. After the paper tape containing Altair BASIC was stolen, it was distributed clandestinely in one of the computer clubs, which is why Gates and Allen did not receive the due money from each copy sold by MITS. In 1976, many U.S. magazines published an open letter to fans of Bill Gates, who accused computer scientists of stealing and warned that their actions were taking away the motivation to create new products from software developers. In a joint business, Paul Allen was engaged in technical ideas and promising developments, negotiations, contracts, and other business communication turned out to be closer to Gates. And yet, the friends solved the main issues together sometimes. As Gates later admitted, the disputes continued for 6 to 8 hours in a row. In the mid-1970s, the CP/M operating system was the most popular operating system for computers based on the Intel 8080 and Zilog Z80. In 1977, Microsoft released a new software product, Microsoft Fortran, for computers with the CP/M operating system. In 1980, IBM began searching for suitable operating systems for the IBM PC. The choice fell on PC-DOS, whose mother, Bill Gates, was the chairman of the executive committee at United Way International, along with two very influential heads of the IBM computer market monster, John Opel and John Akers. John Opel, president since 1981, then John Akers, president since 1985, CP/M86. and UCSD Pascal P system. IBM offered UCSD Pascal P system for about $450, CP/M86 for $175, and MS-DOS for $60. Microsoft did not have its own operating system for the Intel 8086 processors, so it licensed 86DOS, QDS, from Seattle Computer Products, which was a 16-bit clone of CP/M. Later, Microsoft fully bought the rights to 86DOS and hired its lead engineer Tim Patterson, after working on it, it was fully adapted to IBM personal computers, earning $50,000. This is how the MS-DOS operating system was born and the collaboration between Microsoft and IBM began. In 1977, Gates was arrested a second time for running a red light and, again, for driving without a driver's license. In 1980, Microsoft signed a contract with IBM to develop MS-DOS for IBM. But Microsoft missed the deadline by handing over the source code for faster development to IBM in 1981. This crude system featured a demo game called Donkey.bs, made by Bill Gates and Neil Konzen. Donkey.bs was a techno demo of the PC-DOS system and the BASIC language, and is the forerunner of all IBM PC games. In this game, you drive a racing car, and you have to avoid donkeys. In 2012, this game was re-released for Windows Phone 7.5/8 and iOS. Next, Microsoft is working on an entirely new operating system, inspired by Xerox and Apple. Cooperation with IBM continued, and on November 20th, 1985, a new operating system, Microsoft Windows, appeared. Thus began the era of Windows, the operating system that glorified and made Gates the richest man in the world. Personal life. On January 1st, 1994, Gates married Melinda French. Bill first met Melinda in 1987 at a Microsoft press briefing in New York. She had long worked for his company. They have 3 children: Jennifer Catherine, Rory John, and Phoebe Adele. On May 3, 2021, Melinda and Bill Gates announced their divorce. On August 2, 2021, the official divorce took place after 27 years of marriage. Gates founded the multimedia company Corbis in 1989. In 1994, Gates purchased the Codex Leicester, a collection of works by Leonardo da Vinci, for $30.8 million. It has been on display at the Seattle Museum of Art since 2003. In 1997, Gates spoke via video link in Boston at the Macworld Expo, where they talked about developing MS Office, i.e., Java products for the Macintosh, investing $150 million in Apple. The broadcast of Bill's performance was on the big screen, and it was like Big Brother's performance in Apple's 1984 commercial. In 1997, Gates was extorted by Chicago resident Adam Quinn Pletcher. Gates testified at the ensuing trial. Pletcher was found guilty and sentenced in July 1998 to 6 years in prison. On February 4, 1998, during an official trip to the European Union, Bill Gates was thrown in the face with a cake at the entrance to the government building in Brussels. The Joker fled, but his assistant and cameraman were detained and subsequently released, as the famous cake thrower, Belgian Noel Godin, appeared on television, where he took the blame. Gates refused to take legal action. Among the organizers and direct executor of this action was the famous Belgian director Remy Belvaux. In June 1999, the multimedia company Corbis, co-owned by Gates, acquires the well-known photo agency Sigma for $100 million. At that time, Bill Gates turns out to be the owner of the largest photo archive in the world. The following episode gives some idea of Gates's religious views. When a correspondent for the Times magazine asked if he believed in God, Gates replied, "I have no facts testifying to him." However, his children are raised in Catholicism. In a 2014 interview, Gates admits, "The beauty of the universe is overwhelming, and there is no scientific explanation for it." And, "Believing in God makes sense, but how exactly it will affect your life, I don't know." Gates donated money to George W. Bush's 2004 presidential campaign, according to Forbes magazine. According to the Center for Responsible Politics, Gates donated at least $33,335 to more than 50 political campaigns during the 2004 election. On December 14, 2004, Bill Gates joined the board of Berkshire Hathaway, thus formalizing his relationship with Warren Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway is a conglomerate that includes Geico, car insurance, Benjamin Moore, paints, and Fruit of the Loom, textiles. Gates also sits on the board of Bothell's biotech company ICOS. On March 14, 2020, Bill Gates stepped down from the board of directors of Berkshire Hathaway. On March 2, 2005, the British Foreign Office announced that Gates would be made a Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire for his contributions to the UK economy and his efforts to alleviate world poverty. At the end of 2005, Bill Gates and his wife Melinda Gates were named People of the Year by the American magazine Time. On January 7, 2008, Bill Gates announced his intention to step down as the head of Microsoft Corporation in July 2008, switching his activities to charity. On June 15, 2008, Bill Gates announced his intention to leave his permanent job at Microsoft from July 2008. After leaving his post, he intends to devote himself entirely to managing the charitable foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. June 27, 2008 was the last for Bill Gates as head of Microsoft. Despite this, it was stated that he did not break with the company for good. Gates would remain the chairman of the board of directors, without executive powers, would be engaged in special projects, and also remain the largest, 8.7% of Microsoft shares, shareholder of the corporation. In 2008, Gates resigned as president of Microsoft Corporation. In 2010, he left the post of chief executive officer. Both positions were given to Steve Ballmer. In December 2011, Gates denied rumors that he might return to the management of the company. At the end of October 2008 in the city of Kirkland, Washington State, USA, Bill Gates registered his third company called BGC3. Unverified sources claim that BGC3 stands for Bill Gates Company 3. It was announced that it will be a research center whose tasks will include the provision of scientific and technological services, work in the field of analytics and research, as well as the creation and development of software and hardware. In October 2013, according to Reuters, 3 major shareholders of Microsoft, with a stake of about 5%, demanded the resignation of Bill Gates from the position of head of the board of directors of the corporation. At that time, the share of Gates's shares was 4.5%. In February 2014, Gates stepped down as chairman of the board of directors. On December 2, 2015, together with Zuckerberg, Gates founded the Breakthrough Energy Coalition Fund, designed to attract private investment in the search and development of clean and alternative energy sources. Created the Mission Innovation Initiative, which unites 20 countries, including the UK, USA, Brazil, India, China, and others. The goal of the initiative is to double the level of public investment in the development of clean energy sources over the next 5 years, from $10 billion to $20 billion a year. In September 2015, Al-Qaeda put Gates on the list of major businessmen to be destroyed if they do not withdraw their capital from the United States. In May 2016, Al-Qaeda called for the killing of U.S. businessmen and, as an illustration, published a poster depicting Gates next to a gun and blood. In February 2016, Bill Gates supported the FBI's demand for Apple to unlock an iPhone owned by terrorists, said Farouk. In April of the same year, Gates supported the lawsuit of Microsoft, which sued the U.S. authorities demanding that it be given the right to notify its customers if third parties access their data. At the same time, Gates said that the government should be able to obtain private information, but the case must be extraordinary. In 2016, Bill Gates topped the YouGov list of the most respected men on the planet. In June 2017, Forbes magazine recognized Bill Gates as the richest American in the world. The fortune of the entrepreneur was estimated at $88.9 billion US dollars. On July 27, 2017, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos overtook Bill Gates in the Bloomberg and Forbes ratings of billionaires, thus becoming the richest person in the world. But the very next day, against the backdrop of a fall in Amazon shares after the publication of financial statements, he again became the second. In 2018, Gates was again relegated to second place on the Forbes list of billionaires by Jeff Bezos. Bill Gates' net worth was $90 billion, while Bezos' assets were valued at $112 billion. Included in the list of the most influential people in the world according to Forbes magazine. In 2018, he took seventh place in it, although earlier, in 2012, he rose to fourth position. In April 2019, it became known that Bill Gates' fortune exceeded $100 billion. In February 2020, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation allocated more than 100 million Chinese dollars to provide measures against the coronavirus COVID-19. Among these measures were research to find a vaccine and the provision of additional mobile hospitals for the infected. On March 14, 2020, Bill Gates announced on his page on the social network LinkedIn that he was leaving the board of directors of Microsoft, leaving only the post of advisor to the chairman of the board. As of November 10, 2020, with a fortune of $119.1 billion, Gates was ranked second in the ranking of the richest people on the planet after Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. In February 2021, it became known that Gates intends to invest $2 billion in startups and projects that help fight climate change. The billionaire planned to spend this amount in the next 5 years. Also, his offspring Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is developing a digital identification program for the planet's population, positioning it as a single identity card, having invested $200 million in this program in 2022. Personal qualities. British journalist Gideon Ramon describes Bill Gates as a very modest person in everyday life, in appearance. However, the billionaire's home has state-of-the-art electronics and cost him an estimated $125 million. The house is located on the shores of Lake Washington and has an area of 40,000 square feet. The House of the Future consists of 3 interconnected pavilions made of glass and pine wood. On the hill is a garage for 30 cars. In the corner of the garage is a museum Mustang, his first car. The first pavilion is for entertaining guests. The reception hall overlooks the Olympic Mountains across Lake Washington. The visitor to the House of the Future receives an electronic pen encoded with his preferences, movies, paintings, music, television shows. The system learns his tastes and remembers them during his first visit to the house. The central pavilion is the library. Above the hall hangs a giant dome with wooden inlays. Quotes from The Great Gatsby by Francis Scott Fitzgerald are placed on the ceiling of the home library. Gates reads about 50 books a year. There is a trampoline next to the library. Gates loves to jump on it, believing that jumping on a trampoline, as well as swinging in a chair, contributes to the concentration of thought. There is also a swimming pool, Japanese bath, trout lake. Gates' main hobby is playing bridge. According to the American economist and Nobel laureate Joseph Stiglitz, Bill Gates is the best example of the ideals of the American spirit. Having accumulated a fortune, he began to donate large sums to fight diseases around the world and improve education in the United States. On December 9, 2010, Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, and investor Warren Buffett signed a pledge they called the Giving Pledge, in which all three commit to donate at least half of their wealth to charity. Gates believes that in charity, you need to be equal to Charles Feeney. By the end of 2016, Gates had donated more than $31 billion to charitable causes. What do you think of Bill Gates? Write your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to my channel, where you will learn a lot of interesting things. Put a bell and be the first to know about new releases.